You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. In the studio with Swinging the Lead this evening. It's great to have all of you along. Thank you very much for joining us, and I think we're going to be speaking to Pete first, so great to talk to you. And I was hoping perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that track first of all.
Yes, hi Dan. That was a track called Santana. That's a sea shanty that goes back to a time when British sailors were actually jumping ship to fight for the Mexican army against the US in the Mexican-US war. And Santana was the name of the Mexican general. We also sing another song about the general on the other side, the US side, General Taylor, but that's not one that we've recorded recently.
So I was hoping you could tell our listeners who exactly are Swinging the Lead.
Yeah, we're five guys. Two originate from Kent, two from London, and one from Devon. We feel it's important to keep the old working sea shanties alive, and we've got a passion for that type of music, and also generally songs about the sea.
So where are you based then, Pete?
We're all based more or less here in North Kent, and since we formed a couple of years ago, we've been rehearsing every week at the Crayford Arms in Crayford. So Crayford is kind of our spiritual base, but we do perform all around the county and outside the county as well. So North Kent generally is our base, but Crayford, I guess, is where we are mainly.
So you told us a little bit about yourselves in general. We've heard one of your tracks, we're hoping to hear a few more. But can you say something more about your music?
Yeah, well, sea shanties were originally working songs, and these were meant to be sung by, a great many people. And this makes the songs very sociable and easy sung in pubs and festivals and that kind of thing. And bringing people together, all singing in unison or singing choruses, and generally the choruses are fairly easy to pick up, and people pick them up very quickly. It creates a great atmosphere, in pubs, at festivals, and other places where we perform. And that, we think bringing people together in singing is a pretty good thing and should be encouraged.
Dave, it's good to speak to you next.
Hello there.
Well, I was wondering if you could perhaps tell us a little bit more about the history of the group.
Well, I suppose we've been going as a group for 3 years. Previously to that, I was asked by a friend, an actor friend, Brian Stanley, if I wanted to join a shanty group which was based in London, North London, which I did. Shortly after that, I was joined by Stephen. But they were a band that they were traditional. Although we like traditional songs, they didn't play instruments at all. And I think we decided that the gigs in North London was pretty hard travelling up there. And we wanted to do the sea songs, but we also wanted to do some contemporary songs with instruments. So we broke away, three of us, and we set up shop in Crayford in Kent, and then shortly after we were joined by Pete. Then Joe came along, and somewhere along the way we picked up Colin. So and then we've sort of been practicing ever since, and now we've got some good musicians, I think, and we play the traditional songs as well as the contemporary songs. So that's a bit about us.
So where do you perform then?
Well, we perform all over Kent, I guess, as Pete said earlier, is our main base. But we do gigs in various festivals. Probably our favourite gig is on the Edith May, where we always do the Christmas sea shanty and carols, which always goes down very, very well, and it's probably our favourite gig, so that's one we probably enjoy most of all.
Well, next we'll be talking to Joe, so firstly thank you very much for speaking to us.
Yeah, good evening Daniel and the listeners. Good to be here, have the opportunity to share some sea shanties and sea songs with you. That particular song is actually a pumping shanty, which is unusual. It heaves and hoves, and it is fairly unusual because most people sing that in a very loud and boisterous way. We've taken the soft option and done it in a very gentle way, following the sort of area we had with Maz O'Connor. She was the lady who inspired that sort of treatment of the song.
So what have been your highlights of 2013?
Well, we sing regularly on the Cutty Sark. We're now the resident shanty crew there. That's at least every month. We started 2013 with a nice gig with the National Maritime Museum. In fact, just before 2013, it was their Christmas party. We've sung at the Tenterden Festival, Deal Festival, and probably the biggest of the shanty festivals in Harwich.
So tell us a bit more about your future plans then.
Yeah, I think this year it's a consolidation. Having recorded a CD last year, we're out on the road much more, getting our performance skills up to the quality we think we can achieve. We've already booked for the Falmouth Shanty Festival, Harwich Shanty Festival. We're likely to be singing on the SS Great Britain down in Bristol. We do quite a lot of work on historic ships, both locally and nationally. It's one of our favourite venues as historic ships. It gives the ships an added boost for visitor numbers and get a bit of extra income for them.
So we've been listening to some of your tracks this evening. I was hoping you could tell our listeners a little bit about your new CD.
Yeah, the CD was recorded last year. It was the first one we've done as a group. Some of us have done previous CDs. And it was recorded at Roundel Studios in Horton Kirby. And Roger Cotton was our very fine engineer. It's certainly true the recording experience was quite testing for us, made us much more precise in what we do and improved the whole performance when we go out live. The CD experience really improved our ability to sing together tightly and perform.
So I'm assuming it took a fair time to make them.
Yeah, overall about 4.5 months from the beginning to end.
So was it locally produced then? I was hoping you could tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, Horton Kirby Roundel Studios, as the name suggests, is in an old oast house right down on the Darenth Valley, not far from the river. I hope they're not flooded today. But Roger Cotton's been there a fair few years now. Very competent engineer. He's recorded some pretty famous people down at the studio. Very competent engineer. He also plays instruments. He's a keyboard player with Peter Green's Splinter Group.
So I was hoping you could tell our listeners next where the CD's available.
Yeah, CD's available, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, from our friends Amazon, but that'll cost you more than other outlets. We normally sell through Talking Elephant, and also we have retail sales on the Edith May and also on the Cutty Sark, and from ourselves when we're at gigs.
I'm going to be speaking to Colin, who you're probably familiar with, and I'm certainly familiar with from LV21. Colin, it's good to have you live in the studio this time.
It's great to be back here.
So could you tell us a bit about that track first?
Yeah, Bonnie Ship the Diamond, one we put together. We tend to fiddle with songs, play around, come up with their own arrangements. And the song you're going to hear a bit later on, a couple of minutes' time, is another song that we've modified in our own particular way.
So as I said, we've met on board LV21 before. So Colin, how do you find working with the rest of the group?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and the answer is a bit cheesy, but it's a privilege to sing with them. Somebody said, I think it was Pete, that we are 5 decent men, and I think that's true. We're different. We have our own musical abilities, our own particular expertise, whether it's playing instruments or singing or writing songs, and we come together. We have this love of the sea and love of maritime history. Before I met my friends, as they are in Swinging the Lead, I was an unknown singer singing at the ship at Cognac and at the Sea Shanty Festival, and purely by chance, getting on board the Edith May, the Thames sailing barge at Lower Howstow one day in the coffee shop, I happened to mention there I was interested in joining a shanty group, and the cogs in the gearbox turned, and the next thing I knew, I was attending a rehearsal at the Crayford Arms in Crayford. I met the boys. They seemed to like me, I liked them. They taught me songs, I taught them songs, And that's it, and that was just about a year ago. And if you'd have said to me a year ago that I'd be in this radio station being interviewed, or indeed performing with Swinging the Lead, I just wouldn't have believed you. So my life has actually changed through being involved with the group. The LV21 is a lightship down at Gillingham Pier that's been modified for artistic purposes. We have artistic displays there, we have musical displays, and we also have craft for young people. There's a great young youth content, and you'll find that there's a thread that goes through various vessels: the LV21 lightship, the Edith May and the Cutty Sark. We are house shantymen on all three of those vessels, so Swinging Lead is the thread that runs through all of them.
So, Colin, do you actually do any charity work?
Yes, we do. Obviously, the biggest charity we support is the RNLI, as we are maritime folk, and we've produced a couple of free sessions, one at Deal and one at Gillingham, at a local pub for an RNLI day that went down very well, and we performed, and money was taken for that particular organisation. But we have a very strong link with the Edith May, as I've indicated, and we support a charity which the Edith May folks support, which is Cardiac Risk in the Young, which is an organisation that investigates the chances of heart problems in young people. And to that end, we are going to have a concert in the spring on board the Edith May. So I'd urge listeners to take a look at the Edith May Lower Halstow website to see when the concert will be, and of course come along to our Christmas concert, which will be round about December the 13th, I think, and the 20th. We've yet to confirm those dates, so we should be singing and supporting that particular charity too.
So you've all come to us here on Sheppey, so are you going to be appearing here in the future?
Yes, well, once again, very pleased to inform you that we are performing at the Criterion Theatre at Bluetown. If you're around on the 26th of April, we are performing maritime songs and shanties and speaking about the history of the songs and history of the sea and our sailing fleet. That's on the 26th of April. The doors are open at 7 p.m. and the tickets are a mere £8 each. And if you want to contact Bluetown Heritage on 01795 662981, 662981, speak to Jenny and the crew, and I'm sure they'll sell you some tickets.
So all a bit different from the LV21 project then, Colin?
Well, yes and no, with this strong thread that is between the various ships. Yes, we there is a difference, but again, they tend to come together. Very often I go on the LV21 and I'll be asked, could your group come along and could you sing? So we're all interested in maritime matters, whether it's ships or radio or songs from the sea.
And finally, Colin, have you ever been to sea then?
Have I ever been to sea? Well, we all have this strong maritime link. Pete has been to sea on a sailing ship, a real one, with tall masts and had to climb up and pull halyards and let sails go. Stephen is a very noble product of a naval school. I'm a volunteer engineer, as you know, on another lightship called the Jenny Bainton, which is Radio Seagull in Holland. Joe is a maritime historian specialising in the Atlantic convoys, and I'm very proud to say that Dave has just written a song about the Woolwich Ferry, and very good it is too.
I was wondering if you could tell us what attracted you to the type of music.
Yeah, well, I first got involved with shanty music when I went to the Deal Maritime Festival, and went to a couple of concerts, and after that concert got talking to the band that had been the main act, and they have said, you're coming down the pub for a few more songs, which I thought was a pretty good idea. Got down there, and then completely out of the blue, these guys just started singing in the middle of the pub, and everybody in the pub seemed to know every song that they were singing, and it turned into a fantastic night. With 200 or 300 people in this pub just singing all these old songs, easy to pick up. Everybody joined in, and this carried on till about 2 a.m, and I just thought, well, I've got to carry on with this. It's fantastic stuff.
So I was hoping you could tell us what the term swinging the lead actually means.
Well, swinging the lead was a very important job on a ship. It was the only way that the old sailors had of knowing how much water was actually under their ship. Basically, a lead weight on the end of a long rope would be lowered to the seabed and retrieved, counting off marks or lengths of ropes to give an indication of the depth. In fact, many yachtsmen, even today, will carry a line and a lead in case of electrical failure. The term swinging the lead has made its way into the English language and is often synonymous with being absent and or lazy. Absent because when you were swinging the lead, you didn't do it from the deck because tall ships are often wider at the waterline than at the deck level. So in order to get an accurate reading, the sailor swinging the leg had to go over the side and stand on a narrow platform fixed to the side of the ship close to the waterline. The line could then be heaved forward, allowed to sink and drawn up when the rope was at a vertical, and this would give a much more accurate reading of the depth of water. So you might today, for instance, at work say, why is a certain person missing? And this would be the reason. Somebody might say, well, he's off swinging the lead because he's absent from work. Also with laziness, synonymous with laziness because swinging the lead was in fact considered one of the easier jobs on board a ship, although that does depend on how long you were doing it for. So if you're doing it for several hours, it could actually be very hard work.
So I was hoping you could tell us a bit more about some of the performances you're going to be doing.
Yeah, some have already been mentioned, but we do monthly performances on the Cutty Sark, usually on a Sunday. The dates vary, but all the information is available on our Facebook site, together with all the other gigs that we're performing throughout the year. We're going to be at the Sweeps Festival in Rochester. Trying to remember, that's around about the 4th of May, Sunday the 4th of May, I think we'll be on the Edith May for that one. There are monthly folk sing-around sessions at the Crayford Arms, usually on the third Thursday of each month. And we started off trying to build up our gig list at one time, and now we can't really cope with everything that's coming in. Colin's already mentioned Bluetown gig on the 26th of April. We're going to be at the English Festival Country Parks in the Seaside Zone during April. We're going to be at the Sweeps Festival was already mentioned. The Greenwich Tall Ships event later in the year. There's a fantastic event taking place where a number of tall ships will be sailing from Falmouth, racing up to the Isle of Wight and then cruising into Greenwich, and we're going to be at the end of that performance. One or two of us may actually be on a tall ship. Stephen, I know, is hoping to be in Falmouth, and we might go down there if there's events to be covered. But Stephen's hoping to be on a tall ship. At least one of us will be there, and then we'll all be at the end of it to welcome him home and to sing a few shanties. We'll also be back for the third year running at the Harwich Shanty Festival. That's on the 11th and 12th of October. That's a really good event for anyone who wants to go to. We've got a couple of private dues, Trafalgar night dinner, a couple of WI gigs we're doing just to raise a bit of money. But we also found out today, you've actually been told, but we found out through an email that we've been invited to the Falmouth International Sea Shanty Festival, which is just about the biggest sea shanty festival, certainly in the UK, and we're going to be there for that, so that should be great. There's going to be some big names there. I'm sure people will have heard of things like Fisherman's Friends. Our style of music is quite different to them, but they will be there. Together with a few others, and the Falmouth International Sea Shanty Festival has a very good website that will give you all the information, so we'll be there for that as well.
I was wondering if you could just refresh our listeners where you can get your CD from, and also how they can perhaps find out a little bit more about you. Have you got a Facebook page or something like that?
Yeah, you can see us on our own Facebook page, Swinging the Lead. The record is available primarily through Talking Elephant, who's our record company. You can buy it directly from us when you see us. You can buy it pretty much anywhere on the internet. It's usually on Amazon, Sainsbury's, various other places. So it's quite easy to get hold of it. But if you have any problems, look on the Facebook page, contact us. We'll put you in touch with somebody, or in fact we could send it to you directly, whatever. But Talking Elephant is our main outlet. You can buy it on the Cutty Sark, and it should be available on Nauticalia very soon, although I don't think it will be in the magazine to start with, but it will be available online.
Well, if you're happy we've covered everything, I'd like to thank all of you very much for coming along and telling us all about the band and your group, and also for giving us the opportunity to play some of your tracks this evening as well.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.